welcome back to another video. I shot a video a few weeks ago about cleaning the wheels on this particular car, which is my car. Every car is unique, which means every wheel is unique. You might have been overwhelmed with the vast array of brushes that you thought, oh my gosh, do I really need that many brushes to clean my wheels? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There's a lot of variables. The biggest variables is this. It's called maintenance. That is one of my ultimate tricks, which is really not a trick. Most people know about it. It's just that most people don't do it. So don't underestimate the power of maintenance, regular, consistent maintenance. Because if you do that and you don't allow things to accumulate, and things meaning dirt, and in this case, brake dust, then guess what? You're not having to go through massive measures in order to clean off accumulated, or I should say excessive accumulated dirt or brake dust. So this video in particular goes out to a Brian Kinzier of Bradenton, Florida. So he asked, and I get endless people writing in, and I have very limited time. But he wanted to know essentially this: what would Darren do? And I've started to been creating pages on my site. So often I am asked, simply put, Darren, I get it, there's a lot I could learn, but I just don't want to learn all that stuff. And I don't want to be overwhelmed by the endless opinions. So just tell me, what would you do? So in this video, I want to introduce one of my tricks. And the tricks really can only be applied if you are willing to do consistent, regular maintenance. If you're willing to do that and not allow years, months, whatever, of dirt to accumulate on your car, it can be so much simpler. So in this instance, one of my tricks is, which I did introduce in the last video, but I want to re-illustrate how important these tools are in being very efficient, meaning getting from point A to point B in a quicker amount of time, which will save you time, which means then you can enjoy your car, driving it all detailed out, rather than sitting there for hours on a weekend trying to get the results that you want. So this pump sprayer, it allows me to dispense a lot of wheel cleaner. And when it comes to cleaning wheels, you will go through a lot of wheel cleaner. The Simple Green, and this is the Crystal Industrial Cleaner. Now, once again, check this out. Biodegradable formula, which means that as I use it, I don't have to worry about capturing all my runoff water, because it's not going to destroy the environment. It's non-abrasive. In this case, we love non-abrasive. Concentrated, which means I can custom dilute this down based on my needs. So if I'm working with heavy layers of grease or dirt, then I make it more concentrated. In this case, I dilute it down 10 parts to 1. 1 part concentrate to 10 parts water. VOC compliant, which is another good thing. Non-caustic, non-flammable, rinses residue free. And I can attest to that. This rinses very cleanly. So that's the cleaning part of it. After I clean it, then I love this thing called a leaf blower. Why do I love a leaf blower? Because it allows me to instantly clean my wheel, blow it, so that I can then therefore reduce any water spotting that may naturally occur, which will save me time moving forward when I have to do the final finessing of the wheel itself for absolute perfection. Now, wait for it. The big trick is also this pressure washer, because if you have pressure, let me back up for a moment. Without the pressure washer, you're using normal municipal pressure that comes from your house. At my house, I have approximately 80 pounds of pressure at the garden hose, which is a fair amount. A lot of you will not have that amount of pressure. But with that said, that is not sufficient enough pressure that will allow you to avoid what's called mechanical agitation in breaking down that brake dust as you clean it. Hence all the endless brushes. But the trade-off is okay, I don't want to have to buy a pressure washer, so I'm going to have to default to the endless brushes and manually agitate those areas and break up that brake dust and dirt, and then rinse it off with a traditional garden hose and a nozzle. But what this pressure washer allows me to do is it compensates for that manual agitation because it has a very concentrated amount of pressure through the use of these tips. So while it doesn't rely on volumes of water as in amount of water, because you don't need volumes of water, what you need is a concentrated stream of water. So this highly concentrated tip of water will compensate for your manual agitation, meaning you get to trade it off. And that's the cool thing about a pressure washer, but I get it. You may not want to buy a pressure washer, and that's where that cost-benefit analysis comes in. It's like I got to drag out a pressure washer, I got to hook it up to my hose, I got to hook it up to the electrical. I don't want to do all that, Darren. Well, that's the trade-off. Everything has trade-offs. I'm just telling you and Brian, this is what I do for my car. It works out. I want my car wheels cleaned at least at a minimum once a week. I love looking down at wheels that have been totally cleaned, inside the barrels, everything, and it's just a requirement in my world. It might not be in your world. You may allow months and months of brake dust to accumulate, which then you may have to increase the concentration of that formula. You may be required to get a pressure washer as well as still do some manual agitation. I don't know, because every wheel is different. It really is unique, and brake pads and the materials they use in making brake pads is also unique based on car to car. So there's a lot of moving parts. Once again, I'm just showing you what Darren does. So at this point in the process, I'm going to put on my prophylactics. This is not because I'm using a harsh acid-based wheel cleaner. It's simply because I don't want to get my hands dirty. This product is an all-purpose cleaner. It's going to be effective on cleaning the wheels. It's going to be effective on cleaning the sidewall of the tires, because I want to specifically clean the old dressing off before I reapply a new coat of fresh dressing. It will clean the inside of the wheel wells, so it's an all-purpose cleaner. This has a little 12-foot wand on it, which is ideal for getting inside the wheel nuances, so I can spray enough chemical into the wheel barrel. I'm going to spray the entire wheel, and there's plenty of dirt coming off. And wheels are tricky because they're round, which means this. From my viewing distance, I'm looking down at the wheel, and I'm able to observe and look directly at the surfaces that are facing up at me. The problem is you have all these surfaces under here that will need to be cleaned. So when you rotate the wheel or your car, and now suddenly this area is now up here, it will be disturbing because you realize, oh my gosh, I totally failed to get those areas. So you need to be very conscientious and getting your solution up underneath those areas. And you can see how much brake or how much wheel cleaner I will go through in doing this process. Now I pull out my tip. Now that I have verified that I have in fact a very clean wheel, now I want to immediately blow it off and remove as much of the water as possible to avoid water spotting. Now many of you have written in and asked, hey Darren, have you tested out these cool little, I don't remember the name brand. I can tell this is a rebranded version of the name brand version, whoever makes this. I just can't remember. So this is a Chemical Guys version, and it's cool, it's compact, and you think that it would make sense for your car because it's easier to use, or I should say it's easier to maneuver than, let's say, a bigger leaf blower like this. But once again, this is where trade-offs come in. What I find is the winning balance is a leaf blower that's not too big and not too small. I want to be able to still maneuver it safely around my car, but I still want it to blow out an immense volume amount of air. To me, this represents the winning balance of size and power. I want to be able to safely maneuver it around my car, but I also want massive amounts of air blowing out the tip. Now this has a tip that comes off, and I can adjust the tip strength and direction, for lack of a better description. So there's some option to this, but the real benefit of this is simply just this longer wand. And what this represents in the real world is this. For example, when I'm blowing off this wheel and it gets noisy, so I'm going to explain this. So let's just pretend there's lots of air blowing out this tip of this leaf blower. I can sit in one position and I can just do this, this, and this, and this, and this, get inside here. I can blow here if I wanted to, there. I can do all this and not even move my body at all. Now, if I have something like this and I'm sitting back here, well, the second I move, because this has such a short extension on it, the second I move it this way, now automatically I'm going to lose a lot of that pressure. So I'm going to have to do a lot more moving, and I'm going to have to get in like this. So I know that seems trivial, but when it comes down to doing your wheels and working on your car, it's just a lot of work. And so any part of the equation that I can make it easier on myself while still being very effective, I'm going to default to that. So to me, this is a good tool, but I just personally prefer this tool because I can sit here and just do this. Just like going around my car, I don't have to get so up close and personal like I would with this one, because I can stand back and do this while still maintaining control of the leaf blower. So let me plug this in. Once again, my prophylactic, it's called Safe Blowing. At this point, for most of you, if you were just to simply mop up a little bit of the excess water, you could call it quits, especially from what I consider normal viewing distances. If you want to go level 10, this is one of my tricks. I'm also going to show you this because I want to show you just how effective that cleaner really is on traditional wheels. This is a traditional wheel, meaning it's been painted and it's been clear coated. So that's what I mean by a traditional wheel. It's not a bare aluminum or bare magnesium wheel. So this would work on a clear coated wheel or a chrome wheel. It matters not. What I want to illustrate is just how effective the cleaner is without manually agitating it and just using the pressure washer. So I'm going to show you with this microfiber cloth as I go in, and now I finesse the rest of this wheel and take it from what I would consider a level 9 to a level 10 in perfection. What I do like to do, this is one of my favorite detailers, the Q7 detailer by CSI, is I just give this a couple of sprays, actually that was 3, to be very precise. And now I'm going to use it, well, just to add an additional gloss enhancement to my wheel, a form of additional protection to my wheel, but not in the traditional form of protection, meaning it has no wax in it. It's just a gloss enhancer. And honestly, who doesn't like additional gloss? As a rule, we all like additional gloss, unless perhaps we're talking about the inside of the car. So look at the amount of dirt that didn't come off in doing that. Yes, there's subtle amounts of dirt, But that is a trivial amount of dirt. My point I'm trying to illustrate is how effectively that cleaner can be if you're willing to do this on a regular and consistent basis. But now let's go in for the really tricky part, which is typically the inside of the wheelbarrow. And this is where I will need the use of my brush. So what I do is I lay this, because microfiber will grab onto anything that's not smooth. So I lay this and it overlaps the front of the brush itself. Why? Because when I push it forward, it's naturally going to grab the front and it's not going to pull back like this. So I overhang it just a little bit so that it naturally grabs as I push it forward, and then I just hold the back of the cloth itself so that when I pull it back, it doesn't wad up or roll up on me. So I simply go through, and what I'm trying to do is just truly take it to a level 10. And I want to illustrate how cleanly that cleaner and that pressure washer combination is effective on the wheels. So here is my cloth. Yes, is there dirt? I'm not surprised. That's not a mystery to me. I knew there would be some dirt, but the ability to only pull that much dirt off of a wheel that I simply sprayed the wheel cleaner on, use a pressure washer, and now it's level 10 in perfection. To me, that's a real win in my world. But I can't decide for you. So Brian, this is where you now know exactly what Darren does, but this is predicated on a few things. One, I'm willing to do it consistently and regularly. And secondly, these wheels, which is going to represent most of you watching this, your world, which are called original equipment, OEM wheels, which are clear coated. So they're not special uncoated type of wheels, which most people just aren't going to have. Okay guys, let's go in for a close-up. I'm going to do my best to capture the nuances of this moment and show you inside the wheel of just how clean it is. I'm hoping the autofocus is really doing what it's supposed to be doing. Let's come up here. Inside those areas of the wheel, it's very difficult to capture this with kind of a bulky camera. At this point, your wheel is clean, you're good to go. A lot of people write in and ask, hey Darren, my rotor, which is that round metal part on the inside that the brake caliper grabs against, it will rust. It's bare metal. It's bare iron. It's going to rust naturally. I don't care what kind of liquid you introduce into it, whether it's acid-based wheel cleaner, a alkaline-based wheel cleaner, it matters not, it's going to rust. I could spray basic water in there and it's going to rust. A lot of people find that very disturbing. Just know, let me apply a voice of reason, when you're out driving on the road and you run through a puddle, guess what's going to get wet? You're right, the brake caliper. So it's natural. Pretend it's rainy season and you're out driving in the rain and now you come home and you park in the garage. Well, come out the next morning and take a look at your brake rotors. They will have begun to rust. It's normal. Just know that when you drive away, what's going to naturally happen is the second you hit the brakes, it's going to shave off that layer of rust off of those rotors and they will look perfectly as they should. So don't be concerned or stressed out about that. It's totally normal. Yes, acid-based wheel cleaners will accelerate that and make them rustier than the process that I'm using, so that you might find disturbing, but even in that case, it's just really a non-issue. At this point, now that I'm done, I'm just going to apply Actually, what I do personally is I shoot a little dressing up into the wheel wells to enhance that blackness, because I want it black and shiny black in the wheel wells. And then I'm going to apply my favorite dressing, which is the Q7. Actually, it's called the New Tire Lotion by CSI. And I'm going to apply a fresh coat of tire dressing, but you already probably know that. So I'm going to cut there. Hopefully, Brian, you've learned a little something, because your question was so comprehensive. Because he really wanted to know what Darren does on every aspect of my car. That video would probably take up 2 days of solid video. So I'm going to break this down in section to section. And by the way, there's already videos that exist on my channel anyways. With that said, I'll cut there, and we will see you on the next video.